To understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, August 19th, 2017. I'm Edward O'Hare, nicknamed To Be Determined. We have another Preacher to discuss, as well as a retro pick from DC's animation renaissance of the 90s. Let's jump right in. Monday, Preacher. Jesse was so desperate to find God, he was browsing YouTube. Tulip came home again with bullet bruises, refusing to sleep, and Jesse became so concerned he used Genesis on her. Herr K. Starr was too bored to deal with Jesse himself, so he sent a team of Grail Seals. Cassidy killed most of them, but took bad injuries, and we learned that Denis has now been turned into a vampire. Jesse used Genesis to make New Orleans PD clean up the crime scene and prepare for the next attack. Lara and Hooper, the Grail couple next door, convinced Starr to kill Jesse with a B.R.A.D missile, but Starr changed his mind after getting raped by male prostitutes, and Lara redirected the B.R.A.D to Harry Connick Jr.'s house. Last minute reveal? A week later, confused and frustrated, Jesse sent the cops home and sat in a bar drinking Ratwater, where he was visited by Herr K. Starr, who offered to help him find God. And now for this week's retro pick, Batman Beyond, Season 2, Episode 2, Earth Mover, which first aired September 25th, 1999. This was written by Stan Berkowitz and Alan Burnett. They did the story, and teleplay by Stan Berkowitz, directed by Dan Reba. This was Batman Beyond, which was a late 90s, early aughts animated series, which starred Will Friedle as Terry McGinnis, or Batman, and Kevin Conroy as Bruce Wayne. This episode also features the voice talents of Lindsay Sloan, Dan Lauria, Stephen Collins, Lauren Tom, and Mark Jonathan Davis, a.k.a. Richard Cheese. So yeah, this was Bruce Timm and Paul Dini co-created this series and really allowed them to expand their visual palette. The stuff that you see in the early Batman animated series from the 90s, they really played up the bright colors on dark backgrounds a lot more in this. It's set in the future. I always thought this had more of like a Batman meets Spider-Man kind of feel to it, because Terry McGinnis is a high school student who kind of stumbles into being Batman and is doing a lot of on-the-job training with Bruce Wayne in his ear. This episode features Earth Mover, who is a villain who was made up of dirt, which came into contact with a nuclear chemical and bonded with a guy who was spurned by his business partner. And that's kind of a spoiler, but it's a very simple story. The effects, it kind of looks like Clayface, but without any of the shape-shifting abilities. Or at least he doesn't change into other people, but he does move around. This is really just kind of like an angry villain goes after a rich guy, and Batman has to try to defend the rich guy and his daughter. Simple story, but some great action pieces in here. I wish there was a little bit more character work, but it's still a fun watch, especially just the way that they handle all the jumping around. This is a very dynamic show. Really, really pounding on, all the movements and stuff, because this Batman is a lot more mobile than I think the original Kevin Conroy Batman was. It's really just him kind of thrown into this situation, trying to figure things out, asking questions later. This isn't really one of the... if I was to introduce someone to this series, I don't think I would start with this episode, but I think this is definitely a recommend, and it's an original take on Batman, which, in these days, for a character that's been around for 75 years, I think it's hard to reinvent the wheel sometimes, and they certainly do it with this version, but it still fits in with continuity. So yeah, check out Batman Beyond. Not necessarily the Earth Mover episode, but you should definitely watch this series. And I hope you enjoy it. That's the DCTV report for this week. You can find me here on the Wicked Theory podcast, live every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern on Mixlr. Feel free to download us wherever good podcasts are given away for free, and visit us at wickedtheory.com. I'm Edward O'Hare, and this has been a Wicked Theory Studios production.